She can't help it. She can't help but blast the referees, and she has every right to. We have watched Caitlin Clark get absolutely brutalized. Since she stepped foot into the WNBA, she's been targeted. She's the most flagrantly fouled player in the league. We had Ari McDonald shoot a free throw and had another free throw to shoot, and she didn't even care to shoot a free throw. She ran.
Watch that body language. Watch the frustration building in every word. That's not just another player complaining about officiating. That's someone who's reached their absolute limit after months of being targeted, grabbed, and brutalized while the league looked the other way. Caitlin Clark just did something most rookies would never dare. She called out the entire system, the referees, the league office, even Commissioner Kathy Engelbert by name. And honestly, she had every right
to face guard Caitlin Clark. We watched Caitlin Clark get guarded 94 feet full court in an all-star game. All the nonsense, Kennedy Carter and all this stuff that was going on, targeted. If anybody deserves to take shots at the referees on all levels, it's Caitlin Clark. Kathy Engelbert, you did a terrible job of fixing the problem. You know, you definitely did a terrible job.
Let's be clear about what we're watching here. Caitlin Clark became the most flagrantly fouled player in the WNBA during her rookie season. Not just fouled, flagrantly fouled. The kind of contact that's supposed to be automatic calls. We're talking about Ari McDonald literally abandoning her free throw to run across the court and guard Clark full court. We're talking about Kennedy Carter's targeting. We're talking about an all-star game where she got pressured 94 feet like it was Game 7 of the finals. This wasn't basketball, this was personal, and the numbers back it up. Clark led the league in hard fouls that should have been flagrants, but somehow got downgraded or ignored completely.
Clark's rise to superstardom began when she became one of the most electrifying players in college basketball history at Iowa. She led Division I in scoring and assists, shattered records, and drew unprecedented attention to the women's game. Clark was later drafted #1 by the Indiana Fever and has quickly become one of the most recognizable names in basketball. Her deep shooting range, creativity with the ball, and confidence from well beyond the arc have separated her from her WNBA.
Now, here's where this gets interesting. Clark's comparison to Steph Curry isn't just about shooting range. It's about how defenses have completely abandoned normal basketball to stop them. Curry revolutionized the NBA with his deep shooting, and now he faces constant holding, grabbing, and off-ball interference that rarely gets called. Sound familiar? Clark brought that same revolutionary style to the WNBA, and the response has been identical. Except in her case, it's been worse because she's a rookie without the veteran respect or the whistle protection that comes with it. The Iowa product came into the league after leading Division I in both scoring and assists. She shattered records. She drew unprecedented attention to women's college basketball. The Indiana Fever drafted her first overall, and immediately she became the most recognizable name in the sport. Her deep shooting range, her creativity with the ball, her confidence from 30, it separated her from every other player in the league and forced defenses to pick her up at half court or beyond.
Parking lot. They shooting from the parking lot out there somewhere, okay? I grew up watching Steph play, said Caitlin Clark. She said after a game against the Golden State Valkyries last season, he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. What he's been able to do in his career, he's changed basketball. It's cool to be here. He's somebody I idolize. Like Curry, Clark's presence alone forces defenses to adjust well before she crosses half court. Those similarities resurfaced on Sunday after Curry made headlines for the way the Charlotte Hornets.
Listen to how she talks about Curry. That's genuine admiration. She grew up watching him change basketball. She modeled her game after his. And now she's experiencing the exact same defensive treatment, the exact same physical abuse that doesn't get called. When NBC Sports Bay Area posted that video of Curry addressing the Charlotte Hornets grabbing and holding, Clark didn't stay quiet. She went straight to the comments on TikTok with a direct message. We want to see Steph making 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please. That comment reveals everything, because Clark knows that feeling better than almost anyone. Throughout her entire WNBA rookie season, She faced aggressive coverage that went beyond competitive defense. We're talking constant ball pressure, extended defensive attention designed specifically to limit her shooting opportunities, and physical contact that crossed the line repeatedly. The difference? Curry gets some benefit of the doubt from officials. Clark got nothing.
Coverage on TikTok, sparking reactions across the basketball world, including from Clark. On Monday, Clark weighed in directly in the comments with a blunt plea to defenders. She said, "We want to see Steph making 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please." This was her tweet, or not her tweet. This was her in the comments. I believe this is on TikTok, okay, or one of the two, something. It says the comment makes sense coming from Clark, who knows that feeling well. Exactly.
And this is what makes the whole situation so problematic. The Hornets lost that game by 20 points. They got destroyed 106-60, but they didn't care. Their entire defensive strategy was to grab, hold, and face guard Steph Curry 94 feet from the basket, even if it meant giving up wide-open layups to everyone else. They would rather lose by 30 than let Curry get his shots off. That's the mentality Clark has dealt with all season. Think about what that means. Teams are willing to sacrifice winning basketball just to make sure one player doesn't score. In Clark's case, it was even more extreme. She got targeted by players who seemed more interested in sending a message than actually playing defense. The Ari McDonald incident is the perfect example. McDonald had a free throw to shoot. She had a job to do. Instead, she abandoned the free throw line entirely to run down and guard Clark full court. That's not basketball strategy. That's personal.
That has been going on, and that's what Caitlin Clark has dealt with from the door since she stepped foot into this league, and it has been absolutely trash. We got another story here where I played it. It says Caitlin Clark reacts to gesture from college football star. Indiana fans may not like it. Clark made her feelings clear on the Indiana-Miami College Football Playoff Championship game. And here it says, during the WNBA offseason, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark has not been.
Now let's talk about the All-Star Game situation, because this is where it became impossible to ignore. The All-Star Game is supposed to be a celebration. It's supposed to be fun, relatively low-intensity basketball, where the best players showcase their skills. Instead, Clark got pressured, full court, like she was playing in a playoff elimination game. Defenders were on her at 94 feet. In an all-star game. Let that sink in. The pettiness reached levels that were actually embarrassing for the league. And through all of this, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert did virtually nothing. That's what makes Clark's comments so significant. She didn't just criticize the referees, she called out Engelbert by name and said directly that the commissioner did a terrible job of fixing the problem. That takes courage. Rookies don't usually call out the league office. They keep their heads down, they play through it, they wait until they have more leverage. Clark didn't wait. She saw a systemic problem and she spoke up immediately. The physical treatment went beyond competitive basketball into something that looked like hazing. Kennedy Carter's repeated targeting, the constant grabbing and holding off the ball, the face guarding that started at half court, the hard screens that came late, the hip checks on drives, all of it added up to a rookie season where Clark spent more time getting knocked around than getting clean looks at the basket.
Shy about sharing her sports opinions online. When she is not on the basketball court, the 23-year-old can be found on X posting about the Kansas City Chiefs, NBA star Steph Curry, and her beloved Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball team. Ahead of Monday's college football playoff national championship game between the Indiana Hoosiers and Miami Hurricanes, Clark found herself as part of the conversation yet again. Indiana wide receiver Elijah Surratt, who's super nice, by the way, he can ball. He made headlines by admitting to reporters that he named his dog Cece in recognition of WNBA All-Star.
Here's what the league doesn't want to admit. Caitlin Clark is making everyone money. She's driving ratings that the WNBA hasn't seen in years. She's getting people to watch who never watched before. She's bringing mainstream attention to players who were grinding in relative obscurity for their entire careers, and the thank you she got. Getting treated like fresh meat in a prison yard. That's not an exaggeration. Watch the footage. Watch how she gets defended compared to every other player in the league. The difference is stark, and the referees just let it happen. Game after game, Clark would get grabbed, held, pushed, and the whistle would stay silent. Meanwhile, if she breathed on a defender the wrong way, they'd call a foul immediately. The inconsistency wasn't just frustrating, it was dangerous. Hard fouls that should have been automatic flagrants got downgraded to common fouls or ignored entirely. The message was clear: we're not going to protect you.
Even though she went to rival Big Ten school. You know what? By the next WNBA season, I'm gonna have a dog. I'm gonna show it to y'all, and my dog name is gonna be CC2. How about that? That's what we doing over here. Let's all get dogs and name them CC. Shout out to Elijah Surratt, man. She's named after Caitlin Clark. Surratt said Indiana fans may not like it. It would be a lot for Hoosier fans to turn on Surratt, who has formed a dynamic 1-2 punch with Omar Cooper Jr. as the top two receivers for Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Heading into the Miami game, Surratt has 62 receptions, 802 yards, and 15 touchdowns on the season. So, Caitlin Clark calling out these bums for referees that we continue to see across professional sports, as she should. Call them out. They deserve to be called out, man. It just is what it is. You got to be better at your job. Be better at your job. But get down in the comments and let me know what you think. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.
So when Clark says the referees need to be better when she calls out Engelbert for failing to address the problem, she's speaking from months of documented evidence. This isn't a player whining about tough defense. This is a player who led the league in flagrant fouls against her and got almost no protection from the officials who are supposed to keep the game safe and fair. The comparison to Steph Curry matters because it shows this is a systemic problem across basketball. When a player is so good that they break the traditional defensive schemes, teams resort to physical tactics that go beyond the rules. And if the officials don't call it consistently, it gets worse. Curry has dealt with it for years in the NBA. Now Clark is dealing with it in the WNBA. The difference is that Curry had years to build relationships with officials, to earn respect, to get the benefit of the doubt on close calls. Clark walked into the league as a rookie and immediately became the most physically abused player on the court. The Ari McDonald free throw incident perfectly encapsulates the absurdity. Picture this: McDonald is at the free throw line. She has a shot to take. It's a routine basketball play. But she sees Caitlin Clark on the other end of the court and decides that guarding Clark full court is more important than shooting her own free throw. She literally runs the length of the floor to pressure Clark 94 feet from the basket. That's not basketball. That's obsession. That's personal vendetta disguised as defense. And it happened in a game that mattered. Not a preseason scrimmage. Not a meaningless end-of-season matchup. A real game where McDonald's team needed points and she abandoned her free throw to chase Clark around. The fact that the officials allowed it, the fact that the league didn't address it afterward, tells you everything about how Clark was treated during her rookie year. Kennedy Carter's targeting was even more blatant. Multiple incidents throughout the season where Carter went out of her way to make physical contact with Clark that had nothing to do with playing defense. Hard fouls away from the ball, late hits on drop, the kind of stuff that in any other context would have resulted in suspensions or at minimum serious fines. Instead, the league gave Carter a slap on the wrist and moved on. The All-Star game should have been Clark's moment to shine on the biggest stage without the physical abuse. Instead, she got full court pressure from defenders who were supposed to be her teammates in a celebration game. Think about how petty that is. Think about what it says about the culture in the league when players can't even put aside their jealousy and resentment for one exhibition game. Kathy Engelbert had multiple opportunities to address this. She could have issued a memo to officials emphasizing player safety. She could have publicly condemned the targeting. She could have handed down meaningful suspensions to players who crossed the line. She did none of that. She let it continue all season, while Clark took beating after beating on national television. That's why Clark's comments matter. She's not just complaining, she's demanding accountability from a league that failed to protect its biggest star. She's calling out a commissioner who prioritized keeping veteran players happy over ensuring the safety of the player who's driving all the new attention and revenue. The irony is painful. Clark is the reason WNBA ratings are up. She's the reason more people are talking about women's basketball than ever before. She's the reason other players are getting more exposure and opportunities. And her reward was getting brutalized for an entire season while the league office looked the other way. Now she's speaking up. She's demanding better officiating. She's demanding that the league actually enforce its own rules about flagrant fouls and physical play. She's demanding that Kathy Engelbert do her job, and she's absolutely right to do so. The question now is whether anything changed. Will the referees start protecting Clark the way they should have from day one? Will the league office finally step in and make it clear that targeting star players won't be tolerated? Will Kathy Engelbert acknowledge that she dropped the ball and commit to doing better? Or will next season be more of the same? More grabbing, more holding, more physical abuse, while officials swallow their whistles and the commissioner pretends not to notice. Because if that's what happens, Clark won't be the only one speaking out. Fans are watching, the media is watching, and everyone can see the double standard. Caitlin Clark earned the right to call out this system. She took the abuse all season. She kept playing through it. She kept delivering for the Fever and for the league. And now she's demanding the protection that every star player deserves. The ball is in Kathy Engelbert's court. Let's see if she finally does something about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the officiating will improve next season? Or is Clark going to face the same treatment all over again? Hit that like button and subscribe, because we're gonna keep covering this story as it develops.